What's up, everybody? Today's February 5th, 2021. In this video, we're going to be breaking down the numerology of one of today's top news stories, that former WWE wrestler Tyler Reks has transitioned to a female and is now being called Gabbi Tuft. What's important to understand about this story is its relation to a story from just 2 months ago, where actress Ellen Page announced that he was transitioning to a male, or maybe was a male. Either way, two celebrities changing their names, officially changing from one sex to another. Now, before I get into the numerology of this particular story with Gabbi Tuft, I'm going to rewind back to a post I made in December explaining how the St. Louis arches were constructed as a tribute to the two total solar eclipses in 2021. Actually, one total eclipse and one annular eclipse. When we scroll down to the bottom of this post, we see something very interesting about the St. Louis arch. When you look at the national park from overhead, it resembles the female fallopian tubes, essentially. Almost identical. On the bottom side, you'll see I laid an image over, showing how this is no mistake. The St. Louis Arch was inaugurated in the year 1967. And the number 67 is significant to St. Louis, Missouri, which has reduction gematria of 67. As for why this is coded with the female anatomy, consider how the word female equals 67 in Jewish or Latin gematria, the most significant cipher outside of these primary base systems. Now, the Gateway Arch was inaugurated on the date June 10th of that year. This year, in 2021, June 10th is the date of the first of two solar eclipses in this calendar year. Both of these eclipses occur at the poles of the planet, giving them arch-like patterns. The other unusual thing about these eclipses is that by the end of them, the paths are moving east to west instead of west to east, which is more typical for an eclipse. The St. Louis Arch was built to commemorate east to west expansion in the United States. The Arch's inauguration date of June 10th was exactly 54 years before the first of these two arch eclipses. In gematria, sun equals 54, arches is 54, and sun arches is 54. Again, the arch 54 years exactly before the first of two arch eclipses. So in my post about Elliot Page, I discussed the significance of the number 221. And this is all pretty logical. Think about it. The union of two genders to one, or 2-2-1, like 2-2-1. I pointed out how Caitlyn Jenner was born exactly 63 years after the Statue of Liberty was dedicated. 63 years equals 221 in gematria. And look at the birthday of Elliot Page, February 21st, or 221. The Statue of Liberty's full name with 221, an androgynous monument. His announcement of coming out as trans was 221 days after the anniversary of Caitlyn Jenner's interview, where she came out as trans. And this is a number that's been coded into transgender stories for a long time, all the way back to Mrs. Doubtfire, where the main character is named Daniel Hillard, which equals 221. The St. Louis Arch construction began on the date 212, measuring to Elliot Page's 121 announcement was 21,112 days. So you'll see the numbers 1 and 2 are just coded all over this. This brings us to today's story about Tyler Reks transitioning to become Gabbi Tuft. In the alphabetic order, when you write out Tyler Reks, Gabbi Tuft, notice how you get a value of 221. The same number that was coded into the Elliot Page story. Tuft was born on the date November 1st, meaning that the first of 2 arch eclipses this year will fall 221 days after her birthday. And again, here we are in the year 2021, like 221. Today's news story falls exactly 125 days before that arch eclipse. In the alphabetic order, the word transgender sums to 125. But let's go back to these 2 names combined, Tyler Reks, Gabbi Tuft. In English Gematria, which is again the standard 26-letter alphabetic order, in the classic Hebrew and Greek style, notice how these names sum to 1967. Again, the Gateway Arch inaugurated in the year 1967. Recall how the word female equals 67. 67 is the 19th prime, pointing us back to the number 1967. Notice how the last name Tuft also sums to 67. Remember, the Me Too movement was all about the number 67. And measuring from today's story to the date that Elliot Page came out as a trans, it's been a span of 67 days. Again, the arch was in St. Louis, Missouri, 67. Looking once more at Gabbi Tuft's November 1st birthday. On the date of the second arch eclipse, which occurs at the South Pole, this one is a total eclipse, Gabbi will be 43 years and 34 days old on that date. And that stands out because Tyler Reks is 43 in reduction, and Gabbi Tuft is 34. 43, 34. All too perfect, isn't it? Furthermore, today's announcement is 3 months, 4 days after Gabbi Tuft's birthday, again lining with her reduction gematria. What's also worth pointing out is that her birthday this year has primary numerology of 53. That's the value of transgender in reduction. 53, also the value of Reks, her original stage name. And then today's story, 270 days before her next birthday, the word trans does have gematria of 27 with the reduction value. So how interesting is it that, again, less than 2 months ago, I make this post describing the 1967 and 221 connection with the St. Louis Arch. And now we get a story about Tyler Reks and Gabbi Tuft, 221, 1967. I cannot stress enough. This is why it's so important to understand the language of gematria, numerology. Unless you are equipped with this knowledge, trying to read the mainstream media, you are literally blind. You cannot see the agenda that's playing out. But when you put on your gematria goggles, take a closer look at these news stories, you realize there is an agenda playing out. And the agenda is pretty clear. Think about what's been going on the past year with all these mask mandates. The authorities are depending on our compliance for these rules to continue and escalate. And what type of energy fights back on authority when it's not right? Masculine energy. And for lack of a better term, this is all about furthering the pussification of the American male. Putting us in a mindset, a doubtful one, where we're not even sure if we're the right gender. Much less should we even be obeying these ridiculous rules, which are not backed by any science. So this is what we're seeing, and expect to see more of it as kids continue to grow up with warped minds and start thinking that this is a normal, logical option. Again, I've made my beliefs clear. This is a free country. If you have the money and there's someone willing to do it to you, who am I to say you can't? And I'm not even necessarily saying you shouldn't. But to normalize this and then criminalize others for misgendering these people is where it gets really weird. And it's a slippery slope. But again, when you understand this code and how we're being played, you realize what's really happening. And that, no, this is not the right way to live. This is coming from a very Bad place. So hopefully this person finds happiness in their new role there, new life. History doesn't really support that, but I digress. I'm just here to show you the numbers. Peace, love, God bless. We'll talk to you everybody next time. See ya.